Hi, Frank.
Hello, Louise.
We're recording.
Okay, we're recording. Amazing. Okay, so I have a few questions for you, and the first question, based off of how we or where we were going right before we hit the record, which is this: can you describe this new realm of light workers, so to speak, and what's actually happening on this planet, and the people that are waking up and upgrading, and who they're here to serve? And can you give us an overview of what's happening on this planet spiritually?
Okay, I shall attempt to unravel all of that for you. So, the Ascension process is a sequence of activations of different pockets of individuals that are here to shift collective consciousness. So, back in the 60s to around about 2010, we had the first wave light workers that came through that brought their spiritual knowledge and their wisdom to the world. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean like just individuals who were specifically focused on writing content or holding spiritual workshops. There was a whole host of different light workers out there in different forms, whether they were doing grid activations or whether they were like clearing energy sites or whether they were working in astral realms clearing energies, or whether they were actually in a more public space. Like, for instance, there was a lot of music individuals that came through in that wave that literally awakened and rose the consciousness of individuals collectively, and they're really easy to spot. I was just talking about this last night. Your sort of David Bowie's, your Beatles, Queen, all of those individuals like wrote really like transformative lyrics that like brought energy. Like, music is a fantastic way to integrate light into the quantum field of individuals and shift the consciousness collectively. So there's all sorts of different types of light workers out there, and Dolores Cannon is probably one of the best authors that has written about the three classifications of light workers coming through in waves. So they were the first waves, like your Stuart Wilde and your Deepak and your Louise Hay and those individuals that Wayne Dyer, James Redfield, these individuals that brought through a lot of the esoteric teachings of the sort of 80s, 90s and 2000s. And what's actually happened now is I'm a second wave teacher that's coming through, that there are more second waves that are going to come online in this period of time, which I think runs to about 2036, which is 17 years away yet. And then after that, it will be the second wave's responsibility to hand over and teach and mentor all the individuals that will come through in the third wave. So there's quite a lot of stuff banted around out there about star seeds and indigos, and indigos have quite a different contractual obligation, which is more to do with the actual earth, like responsibility to engineer solutions, right? So engineers have actually created the problems on the planet. So the Industrial Revolution and all of that has created, the engineers have created the problem, and it's like the indigos are going to take on the responsibility of having to engineer solutions to like basically move the entire humanity over into a way of an ecosystem way of living in unison with the earth, and that's their contractual obligation. So it's very different to a starseeds energy, which is all about actually shifting collective consciousness and awakening people and passing on knowledge, versus like actual hardcore change making, which has got to happen through the network of individuals. So you can get light workers in all sorts of different.
Yes. Wow. So what comes up for me with that is who are these star seeds? Because they still have these past life contracts and karmas that they are healing and moving through. One, to remember their knowledge and their wisdom, but then who are they teaching? Can you give us a differentiate between the beings upon this planet and why some of us have this awakened state or have been awakening and thinking very differently and have been on that wave of energy, where others of us are just learning some of the basic principles of being human? And can you give us a differentiate of like, who are these star seeds, who are, and where are we going as a collective, where some people are just living a basic sort of evolution? And yeah, what comes up for you with that question?
I'll give it a go.
Okay.
So starseed actually means it means that there's the physical body, there's the soul, and then there's the spirit. And when the spirit first separated from almost like the God particle consciousness to throw off a reflection of itself, it has an origin, like a stellar origin for where it first came into matter. Okay, where it was first seeded from God consciousness or the universe's consciousness. Okay, and so this planet was actually star-seeded a very long time ago by various different starseed races. And so most of the starseeds that are actually down here in service at the moment have origins in different parts of the cosmos. The main ones are Andromedean, Palladian, Prism of Lyra. I'm actually from Orion's belt. There, and it's like we have this affiliation with the universe and a natural connection or inner ability to tune in to knowing that the universe is actually inside of us, more than somebody who has been just incarnated in the earth plane. I'm not aware of whether indigos are star-seeded from outside or not, because I'm not an indigo, so I can't necessarily relate to the soul contract and the spirit contract of an indigo, because I haven't worked my consciousness through that. Whereas with the indigos, I feel that I've had many earth lives. It doesn't mean to say that just because I'm a starseed, it doesn't mean to say that I haven't had lots of earth incarnations. But a lot of the people that are in the earth plane have been sort of trapped in a kind of recycling karmic container down here. And it's like even when they move into spirit, they have to reincarnate back into the earth plane. And it's like starseeds are able to actually move off planet when they come out from spirit. So if I leave my body, leave my incarnation, I'm not limited or confined to the earth plane, whereas earth people are confined at the moment. And we have been shifting all of the problems in the earth plane dimensionally in order to free the species, I suppose is the right way for it, so that they can evolve beyond where they feel, where they've been trapped by a lot of energetic manipulation in the grid.
Wow, so powerful. What a powerful view. What's interesting to me now is like, how about before the 60s and the 80s? I know in the early 1900s, the occult or the theosophists were bringing in spiritual information with Madame Blavatsky, I believe her name is. Probably said it incorrectly, but before that, even thousands of years or hundreds of years before that, what was the spirituality on the earth, and the stories of some of these saints? And so there's still the Christ energy that was available, but a lot of those stories got distorted. So there's so many opinions and perspectives of what was happening before 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, because it seems to me that this earth went into cycles, and there was awakened consciousness, and then there was a condemned of consciousness. And now it seems with more of of the starseed races coming awakened here in human form, that were pushing the earth into a more awakened state and people into a more awakened state. So what was happening before this wave with the spirituality of the human consciousness?
Okay, the
Yeah.
history of the planet is vast because there's been different cycles. There's some very interesting stuff on the Gaia channel at the moment, and a lot of theories around what's happened in different time zones. My interpretation of this planet and what I've seen through my own inner experiences down what I classify as timelines, where I'm accessing past conscious, like almost like past lives, in order to find out historical information about what was going on planet Earth at in different time frames. And so my personal belief at this point in time is that this planet Earth was actually a reptile planet, and originally, and it makes sense that it was, because it had the dinosaurs on it when it was first populated or evolving as a planet. And my belief is that a meteor actually hit the Earth, which created, this is scientific evidence here, but the meteor hit the planet and there was an extinction of the dinosaurs. But what actually happened was also the planet moved by the impact, and it moved in space, time, and dimension, because we're held in an orbit, in a rotation, and that actually shunted the planet slightly from the dimension it was in to a new dimension. And then you have a whole lot of starseeds that actually seeded the planet with mankind and animals, probably more species than just the. I imagine there was a lot of species down here to start with, but the universal term for this is terraforming. So there were cosmic individuals that came to create the species on the planet. And then you've got interference that's kicked in at a certain point in time, which has is of extraterrestrial origin and not of the light, and not of what I classify the divine human template of what we originally starseeded this planet to be. So the starseeds are actually trying to lift the restrictions, lift the limitations of like what's been imposed from an extraterrestrial, not so positive light. And I could go on for hours about all of those different like levels of manipulation that are still currently operating on planet Earth. And I think nowadays with technology, everybody's able to see so much more. So where, you know, we can see what's going on with the governments. We can see these guys in positions of power where they're not necessarily operating their consciousness from a heart-based level. It's quite obvious for everybody to see. So my belief is that there are dimensions overlaying the Earth plane, and it's quite easy when to sort of see through the veil and see what's actually wrong and what needs to be restored.
Mm-hmm. Very fascinating. That's so fascinating, and it leads me to like, okay.
I didn't want to go too far off into like.
Yeah, because it can go so deep, and it's so multi-layered.
Oh, massive.
It's so multi-layered. So it's like I'm like seeing so many pathways, but we would go down a rabbit hole, and so it's just good to get a view of potentialities of what has happened and led us to this point. But what I feel is like we're at a really rare point now, and what kind of advice would you give to people that are waking up? Because we still have these systems and these programmings of manipulation and fear. So it's a journey to get out of that. And so what's some advice for people that are waking up and that are discovering themselves and moving into this more Aquarian age of activation rather than the more guru age of spiritual devotee?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
can we talk about that?
Never ever put anyone on a pedestal, even when they have like excessive amounts of knowledge or wisdom. My belief is that nobody should be worshipping anybody. We're here to have exchanges and share and come from a place of love and not from a place of servitude or ego. That's absolutely not where we should be placing our energy. So when we go through an awakening process, the thing to focus on is, for me, it's learning how to channel energy. It's almost like being able to do Tai Chi with your quantum field and learning how to activate your brain so that you can, and you do this all through meditation. So I always tell people not to take drugs to open their awareness or have a, like, I want to open my third eye. That's absolutely not how you do it. You learn how to pull and push energy inside your own field, and you learn how to connect to light, and then you go through a process of learning how to channel color, and then you learn how to channel different frequencies, and the universe actually like comes to you. So if you set up the discipline to actually spend time in meditation each day, some people do Vipassana. I've never done Vipassana. I've always like channeled energy and followed guided meditations, because the guided meditations take you in, like they disengage your ego and they allow you to sort of slide out yourself and pull the universe to you. So guided meditations are really good at like helping you to like clean your quantum field and work with upgrades.
So powerful. What is your view on like the next several decades? So there's a lot of light. So there's 2 points. It's just like, okay, there's the people that are activating into their light, and have their spiritual gifts. How do you look at this, the spiritual industry, so to speak? Because in the old system, it's called an industry. But how do you look at these people getting out there with their messages and their gifts? And how do you see technology merging with spirituality? What's your viewpoint on that?
Mm. Okay, so I think you need to just go through that again with me. Can you just go through that again with me?
Yes. So the question was, there's people that are activating into their spiritual gifts and their light. And as we move forward, how do you see spirituality integrating with technology? And like how do you see the activated spiritual person moving into that path as well? So I guess there's 2 questions here. I guess there's the question of, how do you see the spirituality moving forward in the next 10, 20, 30 years from now, and how that's going to affect our planet and our culture and everything else? And then the people that are led to lead or lead or to work in that way, what are some advice that you can give them on how to move forward in their gifts?
Okay, so just before you started to talk, I could feel that I needed to talk about soul purpose. So what actually has to happen within individuals that are coming online, as I would call it, where they're starting to work on themselves and they're starting to take ownership of the reality that they're creating and starting to study spirituality, metaphysics, and take responsibility for their own energy and what it is that they're creating in the world and how they're contributing to the world. It's like that's part of the ascension process. So the prime directive is for individuals to actually get into alignment with what is in their soul purpose to deliver, or like how to apply yourself to. Okay. And it doesn't matter if you go through a process where you're learning how to use a particular form of technology, or you're going to teach yourself this and you're going to apply yourself to that. And it doesn't matter if you shift and change and like it doesn't end up exactly like the course of the river doesn't exactly turn out to what you thought it was going to be. The fact that you dedicate yourself to what you are passionate about is what is most important. So inside, I consciously believe that in our energy field, like what it is, and our consciousness, what it is that we are really passionate about doing is something that we've brought forward from past lives. It's like skill sets of different things that we've been in the past. So I know I've been a silversmith. I know I've been a Viking. I know I've got like connections to sacred objects, or like, these are things I'm fascinated by because I've had lifetimes. I've actually had mediums like work for me before in a past life, where I used to hold seances in the British aristocracy. All sorts of things come out of you, like uncovering what it is that you're passionate about, and you go, bloody hell, no wonder like I really like doing that. It's because I've had a lifetime doing it. So we carry forward these like gifts and talents from our past lives, and it all comes together to be what you are today. Now, in conjunction with that is like your soul contract. So it's who you're here to serve, and what you're here to really deliver, and what you're here to learn, because this is a school just as anything else. If you look at the earth plane, we're all in different types of school learning things. So that's also becoming aware of the fact that you're learning, you're constantly learning, but like taking responsibility for cleaning your energy, like creating your reality, how you want to live in your reality is most important. And how we like ascend together and support each other. I think technology is key in joining people together now and actually getting a new level of message. So there won't be like so few spiritual people around doing the teachings. There will be lots of people around doing the teachings. And then obviously we attract who it is that we're here to serve. And maybe people will dial into us, maybe they won't. It doesn't really matter. But like, just being in alignment with who you truly are is the most important thing, or message, or focus that one can have. Because it's outside of the matrix, it's outside of like the preconceived ideas of what we are supposed to be or behave like or act like. It's an inner resonance with who you truly are.
Boom. That's it.
Excellent.
That's the way the cookie crumbles, as I've heard. Yes, powerful. I believe that's a fantastic start. Thank you, Louise.
Pleasure.
I say we complete from there.
End this recording. Just before I do end the recording, I shall attempt to post this, and if anybody has any questions or queries or comments, they can leave a message for us, Frank J and Louise Winchester, to have a look at any other forms of questions that we could answer in the future for you all. Thank you for watching.